is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, there he is, Manny Navarro. And by the way, Joel, that is on the chat board, I've been talking about Decentraland Mana for about 6-7 months. So yes, I am way in on that. And if you were in on it early, like I was, now you're enjoying the fruits of that thing growing like it has the last couple of days. All right, let's get to it. Manny, have I gotten you into crypto yet? Not yet. I haven't inspired you yet.
Not yet, man. Maybe after the season when I got a little more focus on me and I can spend some time researching. But I will look into it for sure.
Oh, I love it. Anyway, all right, let's have a little fun. And we're having fun now. You're actually covering a fun team now. Kids are enjoying themselves, the winning. Maybe now Manny won't be nearly as uptight. He can start to loosen up a little bit so he doesn't think about his job nearly as much. So it's got to be a better atmosphere right now for you.
Yeah, there's a lot more positivity. I think kids are a little bit more excited about the fact that they've got a chance to play in a bowl game this year. They still have a chance to even win the Coastal Division. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, had they lost these last two games and they were 2-6, who knows what kind of state we'd be in. But Tyler Van Dyke has emerged, and they've got a real quarterback now, and they've got some guys in the secondary, some freshmen to be excited about at the safety position, guys who were better than the ones that they replaced. And I just think there's some positivity here behind the program. It's not over yet, though, man. Manny Diaz is going to survive, I think, all of this. They got to finish the season strong, man. They can't just kind of be happy and go into the postseason 6-6 or something like that. They got to run the table in my mind here.
No, I'm with you there. And by the way, folks, don't forget to smash the like button there. It helps the algorithm get around. So please help us out there. That is one way you can really support the program. Follow Manny, for those of you listening to the podcast, on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. And, of course, catch his work there at The Athletic. And I'm with you there. But I think they know that too, right? I mean,
yeah,
they know these two games doesn't make their season. Plus, if anything, if you go the other way again, then you just prove that was like, I'll give you an example. I doubt you follow Inter Miami. But Inter Miami was like brutal at the beginning. And then for an 11-game stretch, they won a bunch of games and all of that. And then they went back to finish the season to what they really were. And so it was just an aberration. And I think their staff doesn't want these two games to be an aberration. I'm sure even the players don't want this to be an aberration that, okay, wow, we peaked for a moment, but that really wasn't us. This is who we are, what you saw at the beginning of the year. That in itself has got to be some motivation to prove to people that, hey, we're the team that you've watched the last 2 weeks, not the team you watched before that.
Absolutely. And I think the most important thing is that the leaders recognize that, right? Like Tyler Van Dyke the other day after practice said, all we've done is win 2 games,
Right.
And I think when you have your quarterback who's, made four real starts in his career, and he's already thinking that way, that there's much more to achieve. And the guys that are leading the defense are feeling that way as well. Then you got a hungry football team. You don't lose your passion. And look, the teams that they've got down the stretch aren't as good or don't have as good a record as NC State and Pitt, the two teams that Miami just beat, but they still got players. And, this Georgia Tech team still has some guys that aren't bad football players. So this isn't going to be like, I know Miami's favored, I think by 9 points or something like that. I still think it's going to be a good game. I still think it's going to be a fight potentially to the last possession, just because I don't think there's that much separation between, Miami and Georgia Tech and a lot of the teams that are left on the schedule.
No, I'm with you there. What are you walk us through? What is Georgia Tech now? Because I've watched them and they're a much different team than what we were used to for so many years under Paul Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, now they are essentially a spread offense. They got Jeff Sims at quarterback, a kid who is really athletic, a guy who can make throws on the run, who forces the defense to extend. They got Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield, a kid who's one of the better running backs, I think, in the ACC. So they've got legitimate weapons. This is not the the old Paul Johnson offense. They've got some receivers as well that can make plays. So, look, Atlanta's loaded with talent year in and year out. It's just like Miami, right? There's always players in the area. They just haven't always gone to Georgia Tech. They've gotten a handful over the years. I think this is a more talented Georgia Tech team. Look, I think they're 3-5. They're not winning a ton of games, but they're in a ton of games. They almost beat Clemson. They've played other teams tough on their schedule. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park, and I think they're a pretty well coached team for the most part.
Miami, how are they injury wise going into this game?
Yeah, I mean, nobody key was lost to injury. I think they're trying to take care of Jalen Knighton by giving him some rest during the week, just like NFL teams do with their stars, right? The guys who take a pounding. So Jalen Knighton's been sort of in a red non-contact jersey just out of, to save his body for game day. But other than that, I mean, there really hasn't been anybody else of consequence that's been banged up after last week. I mean, everybody's dealing with bumps and bruises at this point, but nobody, I think, who's going to be held out of this game because of injury.
All right, that's good. That's good to hear at least. The Rooster, how's he feeling? Because he had a nice look last week.
Well, that's what I was just talking about, Jalen Knighton, the Rooster. That's that's the guy who really, if you think about it, he's made a huge difference as well. Obviously, Tyler Van Dyke has played great, but I would say he's number 2 on the reason why this offense is so much better, because he can really find some holes, slip through cracks. And I think he's really, really great in the open field out on the perimeter when they throw him in the passing game. I think that's an added element to this game that defenses, maybe they sit back in coverage, but you got to deal with that running back out of the backfield. And he just gives them that added element, especially with the tight ends not playing great all season, right? It's kind of been an up and down thing with tight ends. So this is kind of the other option. And whenever Miami's had good backs out of the backfield, man, catching passes involved in the passing game, that's to me when you've had really good Miami offenses, right? I mean, you think back to Willis McGahee, Alonzo Highsmith, right? It's always guys catching the ball out of the backfield and making something with it. And Jalen Knighton is that breed.
Now, listen, we're watching success with the quarterback. We're watching success with the running game. How much do we credit the dudes up front now?
Well, I think there's more continuity, right? I mean, I think there's when guys can play together and you're not playing musical chairs every single week and bringing this guy in and putting this guy out, these guys can work together and start to trust each other a little bit more. And so, Navon Donaldson last game didn't have a great game. I think he was penalized twice. He was beaten on a couple plays. Almost, I think he was the one responsible almost for the almost safety, the one that wasn't called. So, you need better play out of him. But I think for the most part, those guys have sort of held their own. I think Ja'Kai Clark, he played center in high school, but, he was a guard at Miami his first 2 years. Now all of a sudden he's taken over. I think he's playing the center position better than Corey Gaynor and the guy that they had before him. So they're getting better play. They're getting better blitz pickup, I think. When they're giving up sacks, it's usually the tight end or the running back missing an assignment. So I think as a line as a whole, they're playing better. Could it be better? Yes, there's no question that they could still be a lot better. But I think that's where, you have to address some of those things in recruiting.
What's the latest in recruiting, by the way? Any news out there on the recruiting side?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're getting a bunch of offers out to different kids. A lot of them JUCO kids. They're certainly surfing the transfer portal, looking for help. I think, the one thing Manny Diaz said this week, and he kind of reiterated this from the week before, is, you can't just look to high school recruits anymore. And I've had a lot of conversations with high school coaches, and they're all saying the same thing. Like, a lot of recruiting is going to be done through the transfer portal. Like, it's going to be coaches looking to see who's available, which college-ready kids who've already had an experience in college are available to come in and help the program out. And I think, Manny's not going to be alone in that. I could see a scenario essentially where you sign 15 high school kids and 10 transfers every single year, because you have 15 kids you can develop in the background and 10 that you can plug in to fill holes. And I think that's going to be sort of the scenario here. And I think the one thing for Miami, you don't know who's going to be leaving off this roster at the end of the year. Because of the extra year of eligibility, they're over the 85 limit, in terms of 5th, 6th, 7th year seniors. We don't know who is going to be coming back, who's going to enter the transfer portal. There was one kid who entered the transfer portal this week, a defensive end who was part of their 2020 class, who just wasn't going to get on the field. So I think in the long run, Manny Diaz, recruiting isn't just going to be, okay, here's December, we're going to sign 25 kids and boom, we're done. Alabama can do that, right? Ohio State can do that. Miami and everybody else has to look for help in the transfer portal because there's just too many holes. Linebacker, I think cornerback after Tyreek Stevenson leaves after this year is going to be a position of need. I think offensive tackle is a position you still look at, especially if Zion Nelson leaves for the NFL. So to me, there's a reason the transfer portal is there, and I think they're going to use it.
All right. Yeah. Listen, why not? They've had some. Not everything's been successful coming out of the transfer portal, but they've had some success with
Charleston Rambo, Tyreek. I mean, you go back to KJ Osborne. He's kind of a forgotten one, right? Because he was on the team 2 years ago. But he was their number one receiver. I mean, Jalen Phillips, Quincy Roche, Manny. Yes, you have had a Tate Martell here or there, but I think
but I mean the what's it called, your other quarterback,
Derek King.
Derek King, right? Isn't he a transfer portal guy? I mean,
yep.
Dude, that's.
I think that's just the way of life now in college football, and that's what the biggest difference is going to be. I think we're all just used to, hey, you signed 25 freshmen. That's not the case anymore, and I think the one-time transfer rule being implemented and then being able to go over 25. If you're under the 85 limit, you don't have to just stick with 25 initials anymore. The belief is you're going to be able to go over that to 32. So I think it changes the game, man. It changes the game. And again, I think they're going to be signing guys in February. I think there could be situations where they sign guys in the summertime because it just depends on who's available, who leaves after spring football. It is an ever evolving. This is going to become like NFL free agency in my mind.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. So we didn't really think that they could pull it off the last 2 weeks, and they did.
Yep.
Is it 3 in a row? You got them winning 3 in a row?
I got them winning 3 in a row, but I don't have them covering the spread because I just think this team doesn't have it in them to pound anybody yet. And I think Georgia Tech's of the 4 remaining teams, they're one of the better ones. I think they could end the year by destroying Duke. And I think the FSU game, depending on where FSU is, their season might be over at that point. They might have 6 losses, and Miami could kind of put them out of their misery. So I think this game for Georgia Tech, they're trying to make a bowl game. They're going to play their asses off in this game, come down here and they're not just going to give in. So I think this is going to be a tight game on Saturday. I think Miami wins by 7. I'm picking them like 35-28.
Although the Florida State thing is also dangerous on the other side of, well, they've got a shot at a bowl. Let's play spoiler. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
That's the, that game. I know it's the cliche, but I do throw everything out the window with that stinking rivalry game because we've seen it when they're really good and Miami beats them. And we've seen it when Miami was really good and FSU beats them. And it's just one of the weirdest things that goes on between that series. That's a really unpredictable series sometimes. But FSU comes in one year ranked number 1 and they walk out with a 31-0 defeat or something. Right? What was it? 31?
Right.
I mean,
well, Miami. It's weird, but FSU has a winning record in Miami, and Miami has a winning record in Tallahassee the series. So I mean, that's just the way it is. It's strange like that. But Miami has won 4 in a row, and those guys, I think, emotionally, they know if NC State pounds FSU this weekend, and which they could, NC State's a good team. Then I think Florida State, they could go into that game against Miami like, well, there's no way we're going to win 3 games and be bowl eligible, even though it's their rival and it'll be their Super Bowl. I think that always kills teams, right? When you're sort of facing elimination.
For sure. Yeah, and Miami owes this Florida State anyway because they had that, what was it, like a 7-game streak against Miami?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So they still got a couple more years to tackle. And add an 8th just to okay, you had 7. Here you go, bitch. We giving you 8 straight losses against the Canes. So
that's right.
Got to get that in there. All right, what are you working on the Athletics so folks can check you out, my friend?
Well, I just put up a new article today breaking down the defense and, sort of pointing out, Manny Diaz has been very vocal about how many great quarterbacks they faced. And they faced 7 of the top 50 efficient passers in the country this year, which is more than they did. I think they had 5 last year and 4 the year before that. So they have faced really tough quarterbacks week in and week out here. But it also, breaks down where they rank defensively in a lot of categories and how, even though they've played great quarterbacks, there really is no excuse. They had a veteran team coming back this year, and it just sort of exposed their poor player development and really, I think, some of the holes that they had in recruiting, the misses that they had in recruiting. So anyway, there's a whole article breaking down the defense. And of course, my report from earlier this week, talking about the administration saying that they're going to spend more money and invest more money into the football program, and the news on Manny Diaz with the chance that he has a chance to keep the job. So all of that is in there available to read, and there's going to be plenty more, man. I do recruiting stuff. I'm going to be going to a game tonight to write about one of the local recruits, and so there'll be plenty to read in there, as well as the game coverage from tomorrow.
Follow my man on Twitter, Manny_Navarro, and you better subscribe to The Athletic. They do great work locally, nationally, internationally, and you get it for pennies. So make sure you get it. Manny, as always, my brother, I thank you. I appreciate you. We will talk again on Tuesday.
All right, Big O, take care.
You got it. That is Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.